Hey guys, how's it going? This is Chappie here at Intense, and for today's edition of Tech Tutorials, we're going to go over creaks and squeaks. So what we'll do is address a couple of the things that you might see within that first 5 to 10 hour window, and then maybe beyond that. So you might experience some knocking coming from the suspension or the headset. For the linkage system, if you have any type of creaks, squeaks, or knocking going from there, please refer to the user manual. Let's go ahead and reset the torque value for each one of those pivots, and then we'll go from there. As far as the headset goes, we'll get the bike out of the stand, and we'll go through a really quick way to check that as well. But what we're going to do is turn our bars to the side. We're going to grab our front brake and go ahead and rock the bike back and forth. And we'll take our index and our thumb and essentially pinch that headset cap. If the headset's loose, you will feel movement fore and aft. So in order to adjust that, what we'll need to do is we're going to need to use our three-way. We're going to loosen each one of our 4mm bolts on our clamp. And on the expert model, we'll loosen our bolts here and here. Then from there, we're going to want to, using a 5mm Allen, tighten our headset preload cap. So we can just go half a turn at a time, or take your torque wrench and set that preload to 2 to 3 Newton meters. This is a great place to start. Once we've completed that, we'll go through, and on the Pro, we'll retorque each one of these top clamp bolts to the manufacturer's suggested torque value found in your user manual, or on the Expert, tighten our pinch bolts to the manufacturer's suggested torque value of 8 to 9 Newton meters. So as I'll demonstrate here, this is what you might see out of a shock that might be loose. So let's take a look. So what we're going to be listening for is a little bit of a knock. So typically that knock is going to come with the feeling of something being loose, and it's very noticeable. And again, it's a very simple solution. All we're going to want to do is go ahead and take our Allen key. This will be a 5mm for both sides. So go ahead, we'll tighten up our 3 shock bolts on our Tazer MX, Expert, and Pro. Then we'll come back with our torque wrench and adjust those to 16 Newton meters. Once that's done, that should eliminate any type of knock or movement in the shock, and then we should be good to go. If you have any knock remaining after tightening that, then what I would suggest is replacing the DU bushing at the rear pivot of your shock. So something you might be hearing is something, you know, a little like this. Essentially what's happening there is that the derailleur's out of adjustment. It's just going to require a simple readjustment in order to get us functioning and sounding right. So with that, refer to our derailleur tuning video. It'll help get you sorted out there. And then moving on to brakes, something we want to take into account is to make sure our rotors are straight, making sure the calipers are lined properly over top of the rotor. And lastly, another common thing that we see is actually the saddles being loose. So it's something that you don't really think to check very often, but it is a common culprit of a lot of creaking, especially while hammering while you're in the saddle. Simply just retorquing the seat post bolts, that'll get everything sorted out there. So if you've addressed all these points that we've gone over and you're still experiencing some creaks, squeaks, knocks, whatever it might be, don't hesitate to reach out. We're always willing to help in any way that we can to make sure you're happy, make sure your bike's working the way it should, and that you're stoked out on the trails.